Captain Leo Harris sat quietly in the small command room of his spaceship, the Odyssey. The stars outside twinkled like diamonds scattered across a dark velvet cloth. Leo had spent most of his life exploring space, but this mission felt different. His ship's screen showed an incoming message, an invitation from a star system no one had ever contacted humans before. The message came from the planet Seraphis, located in the distant Velnara system. It was an official call from the rulers of the planet, asking Leo to visit them. Such an invitation was rare for humans. Usually, other planets avoided contact with Earth because of fear or caution. But this message was warm and polite, almost like a welcome. Leo's heart beat faster. Could this be the start of a new friendship? Or was it a trap? His crew looked to him for answers, but Leo did not have any yet. He decided to trust his instincts. "We will go," he said simply. "Prepare to land on Seraphis." The Odyssey slowly descended into the atmosphere of Seraphis. The planet's surface was unlike anything Leo had seen before. The sky had a soft purple glow, and the land below was filled with tall crystal towers that shimmered in the sunlight. Strange plants with colors beyond the human rainbow grew everywhere, waving gently as if they could feel the ship's presence. When the ship landed, the crew stepped out cautiously. They were greeted by a group of aliens unlike the usual pictures of gray or green, beings humans often imagined. These Seraphians were tall and graceful, with skin that glowed softly in shades of blue and silver. Their eyes were large and warm, full of curiosity. At the front of the welcoming party stood the princess herself, Alara. She wore a long, flowing gown that sparkled like the stars. Her silver hair fell gently over her shoulders, and her smile was kind but proud. Leo felt a strange mix of nervousness and wonder. "Welcome to Seraphis, Captain Harris," Alara said in perfect English, though her voice held a melodic tone he had never heard before. "We have watched your people for many years. It is time for our two worlds to meet." Leo bowed slightly, respecting the custom. "Thank you, Princess Alara. We are honored to be here." Alara stepped forward and held out a single rose, but not a rose like Earth's. This one was translucent and shimmered with a soft inner light. It smelled sweet, like a mixture of fresh rain and warm honey. She handed the rose to Leo. "This is a gift for you," she said. "A symbol of our respect and friendship." Leo took the rose carefully. He felt its strange warmth in his hand. What he did not know was that on Seraphis, giving this rose was much more than a simple gift. It was a promise, a bond, a marriage tradition that no outsider had ever misunderstood before. As the sun set, the Seraphians led Leo and his crew to a grand palace made of shining crystal. Inside, the walls seemed to sing with light, and soft music floated through the air. The humans marveled at the beauty and the peaceful atmosphere. Alara showed Leo the palace gardens next. The plants there glowed faintly, and strange birds sang in languages no one could understand. "This place is sacred," she said softly. "It holds the history of our people." Leo smiled, feeling honored. "It is beautiful. I hope we can learn much from each other." For the rest of the evening, humans and Seraphians shared stories, food, and laughter. The Seraphians showed how their culture valued harmony with nature and science working together. Leo was impressed by their knowledge and kindness. But deep, inside his mind, a small voice whispered a warning. He still did not understand the true meaning of the rose. The next morning, Leo met with Seraphis's council of elders. They were wise and old, their faces glowing softly with age. They spoke carefully, praising the courage and strength of humanity. But there was an unspoken tension in the room. "We welcome you, Captain," said Elder Neris, the leader. "Your arrival marks a new chapter for our people." Leo nodded. but he noticed the quick glances exchanged between the elders. Something was happening beneath the surface, something he did not yet see. Back in the palace, Alara invited Leo to walk with her in the crystal halls. "Tell me, Captain, what do you think of Seraphis so far?" she asked. "It is unlike anything I have seen," Leo said honestly. "Your people are wise and peaceful. I hope this meeting will bring peace between us." Alara smiled, her eyes shining. "That is our hope, too." Suddenly, a servant approached and whispered something to Alara. She nodded and looked at Leo with seriousness. "There is much more I need to tell you, Captain," she said. Leo's curiosity deepened. What secret did this beautiful planet hold? What role was he about to play in this grand meeting of worlds? As the day ended, Leo kept the glowing rose carefully in his quarters. Its light seemed to pulse softly, as if alive. He wondered what future it would bring: friendship, alliance, or something even greater. But one thing was clear. Nothing on Seraphis was as simple as it seemed. And Captain Leo Harris was about to learn that in the most unexpected way. The morning light poured through the crystal windows of the Seraphis Palace, casting rainbows across the polished floors. Captain Leo Harris stood by the large window, holding the glowing rose carefully in his hand. The strange gift still puzzled him. Why did the princess give him this glowing flower? Was it just a sign of friendship, or something more? Leo decided to ask Alara directly. He found her in the garden, walking slowly among the glowing plants. The air was filled with a soft hum, almost like music, and the colors of the flowers shifted gently in the light. "Princess Alara," Leo began, "thank you again for the rose. It is beautiful, but I want to understand its meaning better. What does it represent in your culture?" Alara stopped and looked at him with a soft smile. "The rose is very important to us," she said. "It is a symbol of respect, trust, and union. When someone gives another person this rose, it means they offer themselves in partnership, a bond stronger than friendship." Leo blinked. "Partnership? Like a business agreement?" Alara shook her head. "No, it is more than that. It is a promise to be united in heart, mind, and purpose. In our culture, it is part of our marriage tradition." Leo felt his heart skip a beat. "Marriage?" "Yes," Alara said gently. "When the princess offers a rose, it means she wishes to marry the one she gives it to." Leo looked away, his mind racing. He had no idea the rose carried such meaning. What would his crew think? What would Earth say? And more importantly, what did he think? "I didn't know," Leo said honestly. "I thought it was a welcome gift." Alara smiled, understanding his confusion. "It is a welcome, but it also holds hope. A hope that our two worlds can come together, through me and through you." Leo took a deep breath. The truth weighed on him heavily. He had come here to explore, to build friendships, not to become part of an alien marriage. But he could not deny the feeling growing inside him, a mix of curiosity, respect, and something warmer when he looked at Alara. Days passed, and Leo tried to learn more about Seraphian culture. He attended meetings with the council elders, visited the cities, and watched how the Seraphians lived in harmony with their environment. Their technology was amazing, far beyond Earth's in many ways, yet it was designed to protect nature, not destroy it. Alara became his guide, showing him the secrets of Seraphis. She explained how their society valued wisdom, peace, and balance. She shared stories of her ancestors and the long history of her people. Leo found himself drawn to her, not just as a leader, but as a person. Her kindness and intelligence impressed him. They spent hours talking about their dreams and fears, about what it meant to be human and what it meant to be Seraphian. One evening, as they sat by a glowing lake, Alara asked, "Captain, how do your people view marriage?" Leo thought for a moment. Marriage is often about love and commitment, but it can also be complicated. Sometimes it is more about family, tradition, or even politics. Alara nodded. Our marriage tradition is very old. It binds two people and two families, sometimes two nations. It is sacred and serious. That is why the rose is never given lightly. Leo smiled softly. Well, I guess I'm lucky to have received such a rare gift. Alara laughed, a sound like silver bells. Yes, lucky and brave. But not everyone on Seraphis was happy with Leo's presence or the idea of a union between their worlds. Behind the palace walls, in shadowy rooms, whispers of doubt and anger spread. A group of powerful nobles feared that opening Seraphis to humans would weaken their control. They viewed Leo as a threat, an outsider who could change everything. One such noble, Lord Varric, met secretly with his followers. "This human must not be allowed to bind us with his kind," he growled. "Our traditions, our power, all will fall if he stays." His followers nodded, their faces dark with worry and anger. Meanwhile, Leo sensed the tension. At diplomatic meetings, some council members questioned his intentions. They spoke of caution and tradition, warning against rushing into alliances, but Leo was determined. He wanted to prove humanity's worth, to show that they could be trusted partners. He began training with Seraphian warriors, learning their ways and proving his strength and courage. He shared Earth's knowledge of technology and strategy, earning respect from many. Alara stood by him, supporting him openly. "You have much to teach us, Captain, and much to learn." Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, but the unseen dangers also grew. One afternoon, as Leo explored the palace library, he overheard a conversation between two nobles. They spoke of plans to sabotage the upcoming alliance ceremony, a celebration of the rose gift and the union it symbolized. Leo's heart pounded. If the ceremony failed, the fragile peace between Seraphis and Earth could shatter. He rushed to find Alara. "Princess, there are nobles plotting against us. They want to stop the alliance." Alara's face hardened. "I feared this. We must prepare." Together, they called a meeting with their closest allies. They planned carefully to protect the ceremony and expose the traitors. The days before the event were tense. Leo trained harder, prepared speeches, and helped strengthen security. Alara worked with the council, balancing tradition and change. The people of Seraphis watched nervously. Many hoped for peace and unity, while others feared the changes Leo represented. On the night before the ceremony, Leo and Alara stood together in the palace garden. The glowing rose still rested in Leo's hand, its soft light shining like a promise. "Whatever happens tomorrow," Alara said quietly, "know that you have changed my world, and mine has changed yours." Leo looked at her, feeling the weight of the moment. "I did not come here looking for this," he said. "But maybe this is what we were meant to find." As stars twinkled overhead, two worlds prepared to join, not just by politics or tradition, but by the courage of two souls daring to hope. The day of the ceremony arrived with a sky painted in soft shades of pink and gold. The palace of Seraphis was alive with excitement and nervous energy. Citizens from all over the planet gathered in the Grand Plaza, their eyes filled with hope and curiosity. Humans and Seraphians alike stood side by side, watching as the event that could change their futures began. Captain Leo Harris stood near Princess Alara, feeling the weight of the glowing rose still carefully held in his hand. The rose's light pulsed gently, as if alive, echoing the beating of his own heart. Around him, the Seraphian people prepared to witness the ancient ritual, a marriage ceremony unlike anything on Earth. Leo's mind raced. Since arriving on Seriphus, he had learned much about the planet's culture, its people, and their traditions. He had grown to respect and admire them, especially Alara. But the truth about the rose, that it was a symbol of marriage, still felt like a challenge to his identity and his purpose. The ceremony was to take place in the Crystal Hall, a breathtaking chamber where the walls reflected every color of the light. The hall shimmered, creating a feeling of magic and timelessness. As the crowd settled, Elder Neris, the leader of the council, stepped forward. His voice was calm, but strong. Today, we witness the joining of two souls and two worlds. Captain Leo Harris, you stand before us as the bearer of the rose, a sign of union and hope. Leo nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. I am honored, he said clearly, but I must be honest. Until recently, I did not understand the full meaning of this rose or the promise it carries. A murmur ran through the crowd. Alara reached out and took his hand gently. The meaning is clear to me, she said softly, and I believe this promise can bring great good to us all. Leo squeezed her hand, drawing strength from her confidence. Then the ritual began. The Seraphian. Priestess stepped forward, holding an ancient book. She spoke in a language unknown to Leo, but the meaning was clear, a promise of loyalty, respect, and partnership. Leo repeated the words as best he could, feeling the power of the moment. As the ritual continued, Leo realized something surprising. This ceremony was not just about marriage in the way Earth understood it. It was a binding of purpose, a commitment to face the future together, to share hopes, fears, and dreams across the stars. Suddenly, the doors of the Crystal Hall burst open. Guards rushed in, eyes sharp and alert. A loud voice called out, "Stop the ceremony! This union must not happen!" Leo's heart pounded. The rival faction had made their move. Lord Varek, the powerful noble who opposed the alliance, stepped forward with his followers. "This union is a threat to our traditions and our power," he shouted. "We will not allow an outsider to bind our princess." Chaos erupted in the hall. Some Seraphians shouted in support of Varek, while others defended the ceremony. Leo and Alara stood firm, their hands still joined. Leo stepped forward, his voice loud and steady. "I came here as an explorer, not a conqueror. I respect your culture and your people. This union is a choice made from trust, not force." Alara raised her voice, her tone calm but fierce. "Our future depends on peace and understanding. We cannot let fear and power divide us." Slowly, the crowd began to listen. Elder Naris called for calm. "Let us remember why we are here, to build a bridge between our worlds." Varek glared but stepped back. The guards restored order and the ceremony continued. After the ritual ended, Leo and Alara stood before the crowd, united not just by tradition, but by choice. Later, in a quiet room away from the crowds, Leo faced Alara. "This is more than I ever expected. The rose, it means I am now part of your world." Alara nodded. "Yes, and you have a choice, Leo. You can accept this union fully, or you can leave." Leo looked down at the glowing rose. "Leaving now could cause war, but staying means my life changes forever." Alara placed her hand on his shoulder. "Whatever you decide, we will face it together." Leo's mind was full of questions. Could he truly commit to a future with Seriphus? What would Earth say? Could two very different worlds find harmony? But deep inside, a quiet certainty grew. This was the start of something new and powerful, not just for him, but for all who dreamed of peace beyond the stars. The days following the ceremony were filled with both hope and tension. Captain Leo Harris felt the weight of the glowing rose heavy in his pocket, a constant reminder of the promise he had made, willingly or not. Alara stood beside him like a pillar of strength, But the palace halls whispered with fear and anger. The rival faction had not given up. One morning, Leo awoke to a message from the palace security chief. "Captain, there are signs of sabotage. The rival nobles are planning something big, possibly an attack." Leo's heart raced. He had expected resistance, but not a direct threat to their lives. He met Alara in the palace garden, where soft light filtered through the glowing trees. "We cannot let fear win," she said firmly. "Our people want peace, but some will try to stop it." Leo nodded. "We need to find out what they are planning, before it's too late." Together they formed a small group of trusted Seraphians and humans. They began quietly investigating the palace, searching for clues. Leo learned that the rival faction was led by Lord Varric, a noble who feared losing his power if the alliance succeeded. Varric and his followers had begun sabotaging the palace's energy systems and spreading lies to turn people against Leo and Alara. One night, as Leo patrolled the palace corridors, he caught a shadow moving near the main power core. Quietly, he followed and discovered Varric's agents planting devices meant to cause a blackout. Leo acted quickly. Using his training and some Seraphian technology, he disabled the bombs before they exploded. The next day, Leo shared the news with the council. "We have proof of sabotage," he said. "Varric is willing to risk the safety of everyone to stop this union." The council was shocked but grateful. Elder Naris said, "Your courage and loyalty have saved us, but this danger is not over." Alara looked at Leo with pride. "We must stand strong together." As the threat grew, Leo and Alara spent more time with the people, showing that their alliance was about hope, not control. They visited schools, met families, and shared stories of Earth's struggles and dreams. Slowly, some of the Seraphians who once doubted Leo began to see him as a friend, but Varric's power was still strong and the danger real. One evening, Leo and Alara were ambushed on a walk through the palace gardens. A group of masked attackers surrounded them, weapons drawn. Leo's training kicked in. He pushed Alara behind him and fought off the attackers with a mix of human combat skills and Seraphian defense techniques. Alara, though shaken, helped by using her knowledge of the palace layout to guide them to safety. After the attack, the palace tightened security. Leo realized that this was a test, not just of their strength, but of their trust in each other. The incident brought them closer, deepening their bond beyond the rose's promise. Leo began to understand the true meaning of the union. It was about trust, sacrifice, and standing together against the darkness. One quiet night, as they stood looking at the stars, Alara said softly, "I never expected to find someone like you, Leo. Someone who sees beyond fear." Leo smiled. "And I never expected to find a world like this, or a future I could believe in." The path ahead was still full of danger and uncertainty, but together they were stronger. Their story was no longer just about a rose or a tradition. It was about two souls daring to change their worlds and proving that even the greatest trials could be overcome with trust and courage. The day had finally come. The final ceremony was to be held in the heart of Seraphis, a grand event to celebrate the official union between Captain Leo Harris and Princess Alara. The whole planet seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. Months had passed since the first rose was given, and since then, much had changed. Trust had grown between the humans and Seraphians, but so had challenges. The threat from Lord Varric and his followers still lingered, though weakened by the efforts of Leo, Alara, and their allies. Now the people of Seraphis gathered in the Crystal Plaza, a place of beauty and power where light danced like living stars. The plaza was filled with citizens from all over the planet and several humans who had arrived with Leo. Everyone was dressed in their finest, their faces glowing with hope. Leo stood beside Alara, feeling the familiar warmth of the glowing rose in his hand. The symbol that had once confused him now felt like a key to a new future. The ceremony began with music, soft, melodic tones created by instruments unlike any Leo had seen. They seemed to sing the story of Seriphus itself, of stars born from dust, of life growing in harmony. Elder Naris stepped forward to speak. Today, we witness a promise not just between two souls, but between two worlds. This union is a bridge of hope, built on trust, respect, and love. Alara smiled at Leo and took his hand. Leo, when I gave you the rose, I hoped for a future where our people could be friends. But now I see that it means more. It means we will face challenges together, and that together we will build something greater. Leo looked into her eyes. I never imagined this when I arrived on Seriphus, but now I believe in this future. Not because of tradition, but because of the people, because of you. As the words were spoken, the glowing rose in Leo's hand brightened, shining with a light that filled the plaza. It was as if the promise itself had come alive. Suddenly, a shadow moved near the plaza's edge. Lord Varric appeared, his face hard and determined. He raised his voice, shouting, "This union is a betrayal! It will bring ruin to Seriphus!" Gasps echoed through the crowd. For a moment, it seemed as if the old fears would tear everything apart. But then, something unexpected happened. The people who had once doubted Leo and Alara stepped forward. Farmers, teachers, warriors, and children all spoke up, telling their stories of hope and change. "We choose peace," said a young Seraphian woman. "We choose friendship." The crowd's voice grew louder, drowning out Varric's anger. The nobles who had once opposed the union found themselves alone. Realizing his defeat, Varric turned and disappeared into the shadows, his power broken. The ceremony resumed. Leo and Alara exchanged vows, not just of marriage, but of unity and cooperation between their worlds. Their hands were joined by light, and the glowing rose blossomed into a brilliant flower of energy. As the ceremony ended, cheers filled the air. Humans and Seraphians embraced, celebrating the new beginning. In the days that followed, Leo and Alara worked tirelessly to strengthen the alliance. Plans were made for trade, education, and cultural exchange. Earth and Seriphus would learn from each other, building a future of peace. One evening, Leo stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. Alara joined him, her hand resting in his. "Do you miss Earth?" she asked softly. Leo smiled. "Sometimes, but I feel like I belong here now. This planet, this people, they are part of me." Alara leaned her head on his shoulder. "And you are part of us." Together, they looked up at the stars, stars that no longer felt distant or lonely. They were connected by hope, by love, and by the promise of unity beyond the stars. And so, the story of the alien princess and the human captain became a legend, a tale of courage, understanding, and the power of unexpected bonds. The day had finally come. The final ceremony was to be held in the heart of Seriphus, a grand event to celebrate the official union between Captain Leo Harris and Princess Alara. The whole planet seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. Months had passed since the first rose was given, and since then, much had changed. Trust had grown between the humans and Seraphians, but so had challenges. The threat from Lord Varric and his followers still lingered, though weakened by the efforts of Leo, Alara, and their allies. Now the people of Seriphus gathered in the HFY Crystal Plaza, a place of beauty and power where light danced like living stars. The plaza was filled with citizens from all over the planet and several humans who had arrived with Leo. Everyone was dressed in their finest, their faces glowing with hope. Leo stood beside Alara, feeling the familiar warmth of the glowing rose in his hand. The symbol that had once confused him now felt like a key to a new future. The ceremony began with music, soft, melodic tones created by instruments unlike any Leo had seen. They seemed to sing the story of Seriphus itself, of stars born from dust, of life growing in harmony. Elder Naris stepped forward to speak. Today, we witness a promise not just between two souls, but between two worlds. This union is a bridge of hope, built on trust, respect, and love. Alara smiled at Leo and took his hand. Leo, when I gave you the rose, I hoped for a future where our people could be friends, but now I see that it means more. It means we will face challenges together, and that together, we will build something greater. Leo looked into her eyes. I never imagined this when I arrived on Seriphus, but now I believe in this future, not because of tradition, but because of the people, because of you. As the words were spoken, the glowing rose in Leo's hand brightened, shining with a light that filled the plaza. It was as if the promise itself had come alive. Suddenly, a shadow moved near the plaza's edge. Lord Varric appeared, his face hard and determined. He raised his voice, shouting, "This union is a betrayal. It will bring ruin to Seriphus." Gasps echoed through the crowd. For a moment it seemed as if the old fears would tear everything apart. But then something unexpected happened. The people who had once doubted Leo and Alara stepped forward. Farmers, teachers, warriors, and children all spoke up, telling their stories of hope and change. "We choose peace," said a young Seraphian woman. "We choose friendship." The crowd's voice grew louder, drowning out Varric's anger. The nobles who had once opposed the union found themselves alone. Realizing his defeat, Varric turned and disappeared into the shadows, his power broken. The ceremony resumed. Leo and Alara exchanged vows, not just of marriage, but of unity and cooperation between their worlds. Their hands were joined by light, and the glowing rose blossomed into a brilliant flower of energy. As the ceremony ended, cheers filled the air. Humans and Seraphians embraced, celebrating the new beginning. In the days that followed, Leo and Alara worked tirelessly to strengthen the alliance. Plans were made for trade, education, and cultural exchange. Earth and Seriphus would learn from each other, building a future of peace. One evening, Leo stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. Alara joined him, her hand resting in his. "Do you miss Earth?" she asked softly. Leo smiled. "Sometimes, but I feel like I belong here now. This planet, this people, they are part of me." Alara leaned her head on his shoulder. "And you are part of us." Together they looked up at the stars, stars that no longer felt distant or lonely. They were connected by hope, by love, and by the promise of unity beyond the stars. And so, the story of the alien princess and the human captain became a legend, a tale of courage, understanding, and the power of unexpected bonds.